What is the greatest strength or limitation of the business? It's often a leader, right? In this episode, let's discover the secrets of successful leaders. Learn the mindset and psychology needed to build and keep growing the yoga brand with over 200 locations. Welcome to Top Rated Gym, the podcast that helps ambitious gym owners build profitable and sustainable fitness businesses. I'm your host, Andrej Svijovic, and with every episode, I deliver actionable insights, expert advice, and success stories to help you grow your membership, streamline your operation, and achieve financial stability, even if you struggled with marketing challenges, operational overwhelm, or financial limitations in the past. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Lindsay Junk, the president of YogaSix. Lindsay's background is really impressive. She held leadership roles in companies like YogaWorks and Tru Fusion, and now she's leading the charge as president of rapidly growing YogaSix brand, which has over 200 franchises open. What I found most fascinating about Lindsay is her deep expertise in the area of mindset and psychology. As someone who has pushed her own limits as an elite athlete and now works closely with gym owners and franchises, she has a unique perspective on how to help businesses with mindset and driving success. Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's so fun. And I love this topic. So it's very relevant lately. And I'm really looking forward to diving in.
So Lindsay, mindset, you have mindset of a leader. Can you tell us a little bit how everything came together? Like, where did you start understanding importance of the mindset from your perspective?
Well, it started before I was ever in a leadership position, kind of more as like a kid and an athlete. Thinking back to like very early ages, I was a high school kid and I was training for the 400 meter, which is the one time around track. It's a harder event. And my dad was my coach, and he used to tell me that I was running faster than I really was. And I found this out years later, but it was all about mindset. So he would say, you just ran a 57-minute 400 meter, which is a pretty good time for a high school kid. And so then I would believe that I could do it because I'd done it in practice. But the reality was I had not done that. I had done like a minute one. But when I got into the races, into the events, I actually ran the time that he said I ran. So I didn't know it at the time, but connecting the dots to realize how important it is to truly believe that you can do something. And then, of course, that carried on. I went on to become a college athlete and then an Ironman triathlete. And so in an Ironman, I mean, it's a very long endurance event. And it is a mind game the whole time. You really just have to believe in yourself and find ways to make small wins so that you can get to the end. And so I started, my life like that. And then as I got into business, I realized there's a lot of, if you can believe you can do something in business, you can, but you have to believe that you can do it to start with.
Wow, psychology is everything in success. I believe, 80% of success is psychology, 20% is strategy and tactics and how you do things. But unless you believe yourself, in this case, your father believed in you. He infused this idea of like, I'm the best. I got it. I kick some ass. This is it. This is who I am. He created identity of you as being the greatest. You believed it. And then later on, you had to kind of carry it forward.
Yeah. So that's how I think about this a lot. And especially you actually recommended the book, The Cyberkinetics. And it's realizing, I don't know if my dad read it, but he definitely helped me believe that I was great, at least in sports. And so I thought about myself that way. And so anytime I went and did any sort of sport as a kid, I was like, well, I'm good at basketball. I'm good at baseball. And so I would just be good because I expected it of myself. And I see this all the time now in business. YogaSix has 200 plus franchises open. We have over 500 franchisees. And as I see these franchisees coming through, and I see the difference in mindset, I can almost tell you within a couple of months how they're going to perform. And a lot of times it's not because somebody's got more experience or more money or more resources. It's really their mindset and how they think about themselves and what they expect of themselves and their confidence and their belief that they can be successful.
They always says leaders, while everybody else look at the situation worse than it is, they see the news and they make a catastrophic event out of it.
Right.
Leaders always look at events or news and think better than it is. Like economy is coming to a halt. Somebody can say, oh my God, everything's gone. Or other people can say, there is going to be problems people need solutions for. What is the opportunity coming out? How we can amplify everything we're doing it during the period of recession or depression or economic shrinkage or anything like that.
Mhm.
That same mindset was tested and proven during the COVID. A lot of people, local businesses, like, damn, what we're gonna do? And I know yoga business owners who switched to online at that time and never went back, just because, like, oh my God, this is opportunities I would never reach masses like I did with online at that time.
Right.
So that Psycho-Cybernetics, it's awesome book. It really teaches you about that you can do this to yourself. You can literally impose your self-thoughts about being great in something and then just follow it. It becomes a natural part of it. You talk about your franchisees and your own role. So what do you think about mindset as a being something that's coachable? Is this the thing that you can help somebody develop it? And if yes, how you do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, definitely coachable, and there's industries that are around coaching mindset, even with athletes or just with people that have been with military, all of that. My role, like as the president of YogaSix, like I never thought when I started this journey that I would start trying to coach a little bit, but it's just been something that's been really important for our success as a franchise, is to help owners to kind of shift their mindset and believe that they can be successful, that the brand can be successful, that they made the right choice. And so we've been just diving into this a lot here at YogaSix in the last, I'd say, 6 months, really focusing on it and realizing that our franchisees needed some help. And we also started to identify franchisees that came in and already had the right mindset, with a positive can-do mindset. And then those that came in and just doubted themselves or didn't feel like they could do it, or maybe thought because they didn't have experience, they couldn't do it. And so we've been really working with them on trying to help them believe. And a lot of it is kind of like going back to what I said with my dad, where he would just say, you're great, and give me reasons to think I was great. And so what I've been trying to do with our franchisees and even my team here at YogaSix is give them, like, look for reasons to tell them they're great and tell them they can do it and show them, give them examples of it. And so I think about if I'm talking to somebody that works for me, maybe in sales, and isn't getting the results that they're hoping for, well, where are they getting results, and where are areas that they are great, and highlight those. So when they leave a meeting with me, they walk out and be like, you know what, I'm awesome. And if they believe that, then they will be awesome. And so as a leader, it's up to us to create environments where people really feel like they're successful to start with. Like what they're saying has value, even if they're just brand new in the position. Wow, that's such a great idea. I'm so glad you said that. Tell me more about that. Gives people a lot of confidence. They really believe in themselves. And then once they've had that for 2 or 3 weeks, they start to really believe it. And that's what they do. So there's two, for me anyways, as a leader, is my team and the people that work with me. I'm trying to lift them up and help them with mindset and give them reasons to believe in themselves, but also with our franchisees, having similar conversations.
And I want to reinforce something. I don't know if everybody got it. Reinforcing success, because we all have filters in our head. We can focus on something that's bad or focus on something that's good. Somebody coming brand new into your business, they have mistakes. And if you focus on those, people will feel bad. But it seems like you recognize something they're doing good and you're rewarding that behavior, and they want to get more of those.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like, I love the expression, change expectations with appreciations and everything will change. Instead of coming saying, hey, you didn't follow SOP, you didn't do this thing, you turn around and says, what did they do well? What was awesome they did? Let's reward that. So let's lean them towards greatest behavior. Like your dad did. She ran, she accomplished it. Maybe she didn't get the best results I wanted, but let's reinforce that. Because if he came, let's try opposite strategy. If your dad came in like, oh, girl, you will never make it, you got to run faster because you failed your number, you wouldn't have motivation to do that.
Right.
That internal reward, that dopamine we get by praising and rewards for doing it, I think it's a critical part of the mindset of the leader.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many examples of that all of the time. I have daughters, twins. I think I told you about them when we spoke.
Yes, I would love you to share the
They're
story.
16-year-old twins, and they play volleyball. And they're identical, but they have very different mindsets. One of them is an eternal optimist. It's just her personality. She's been like this since she was a baby. She really believes that she can be successful and always thinks of the positive. The other one is the opposite, where she doesn't have as much confidence. She doesn't believe she can be as successful. And so she has more of a negative outlook. Now, they're identical, but they have a little bit different body types. So the one with the negative outlook is much stronger and bigger. She's taller, stronger. The one with positive outlook is smaller and isn't as strong. So to look at them physically, you would think the stronger one would be the better one. She's physically has what it takes, and the other one would not be. But it's the opposite. It's the mindset. So my daughter that has the strong mindset and believes that she can win is the one that wins. Even though the other one is bigger and stronger and really should win, she doesn't believe she can. So we're working with her on fixing her mindset. And I think we're making some good progress. The way that we've been the most successful is to focus on the things that she is already really great at. So when she gets into a match, we say, you know what, you've got a really fast arm swing and you can read the court really well. Keep focusing on those are the things that make you great. That's what's going to make you win. And not talk to her about things that she needs to do better. Just focus on what she's doing well. It's been working.
And it's a great example. We have this in the family. We have this in our surrounding, in our teams. People somehow just that mindset of positivity always prevails. Google, I love the story about Google. You know what's one of the biggest challenges of the people and executives in Google? They all have imposter syndrome. They think this is too much. I don't know if I qualify to do this job. Is it too much? Like somebody who is in Google and top of technology think about themselves as not enough.
Right.
And on another side, how Google does it, they have a mantras. And they have mantras when somebody comes up and says, we can't do that. It's too much. They have a mantras that 20 mantras. One of them, my favorite is that we applied in our companies. Instead of saying I can't, say I can if. And just switching a little bit the order of the words, and I can if. That means I can do that if, and then resources are being placed.
Right.
If certain things, like what is the if that needs to happen in order for you to succeed? And in that option, you will never find yourself in the limitations of I can't do something. The moment you do that, it's like, okay, hold on. What would the Google mantra says? I can if, and then you proceed.
Right.
I want to ask you, how do you deal when it comes to problem you never faced before? Like this is where you really showed up.
Yeah.
Reflection of your inner conditioning or your mindset.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I mean, and being a leader of a fitness company during COVID, I had a lot of experience with dealing with things that I've never dealt with before. And so really I'll always try to find somebody that might have dealt with something. That's usually my first, if I've got a problem, normally I would go and look for someone that potentially has had that problem before and get some feedback and learn from that person. If I can't find that, like in the case of COVID, I just started brainstorming with my team on ways that we could solve the problems that we were faced with. And our mantra was really was no bad ideas. And so if there's a problem and I can't solve it, what are all the potential solutions, and write them all down and then start running them to ground. So, okay, if we tried this, let's talk about what will happen and then go through the steps. And we'll do that with every one of the potential solutions until we find one where we're like, you know what, this one is where we have the highest degree of confidence that we can be successful. But again, it goes back to the mindset. Like I had people on the team during COVID just said, no, we absolutely can't do this. Like we can't do this.
Yeah.
And those people don't work here anymore. They didn't believe that they could do it. And they just ended up finding other places to be. But we always believe that we can solve the problem and that it's just a matter of time until we get to the right solution. And we might not solve it on the first go, by the way. And I have no issue with having a team that makes mistakes. You know, I have a problem, try to solve it. We did this. We thought it would work. We took it to ground. It didn't work, but there's a solution here. We're just going to go again, and we're going to go again. We're going to go again. And so again, as a leader, creating an environment where that's okay. Right? Like
Mhm.
imagine if you've got to solve a problem and you only get one chance, and if you get it wrong, you're in trouble. You get
Mm.
fired. It just puts a lot of pressure, and then
Yes.
you start to doubt yourself. So we never do that to ourselves here. We always
Mm.
allow ourselves to make mistakes. Try not to make the same mistakes twice. But
Mm.
I think that's really important. Again, going back to creating an environment where people
Mm.
feel like they're successful, and it's okay if they fail, as long as they're failing right, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
And if I can summarize pretty much in a couple bullet points what you said, problem came in. You never dealt with that before. What you said was like, okay, let me learn. Who have done this in the past? Is there any solution? Am I the only one? Is this industry? Whatever. You equip yourself with the knowledge. Second step, what you said is like, okay, let's brainstorm. Let's put all ideas out. Let's write them down. No bad ideas. Everything is welcome. And then you start discovering solutions. What I call this is called being resourceful. When
Mhm.
you are with a problem, you're stuck. But when you start writing down all the ideas, you become like, oh my God, there's more than one. And I usually start with my team by three. So if you have one, you don't have options. If you have two, you have dilemma. You need at least three in
Right,
order to have some options. But once
right.
you start warming up the brain, the ideas start flowing. And then you end up with 17. It's like, oh my God, this is not a problem. This is not fun. This is opportunity. Let's figure it out.
It's an opportunity. So you turn your problems into opportunities, which is where I see most of the most successful
Hmm.
people, but like just kind of keeping it to what I'm doing on a daily basis, most of my most successful franchisees, they turn their problems into opportunities.
Yeah.
As an athlete,
And
right? Like,
success doesn't teach
yeah,
you lesson. Failure does. So encouraging people to make decision to carry them. And if they make mistake, learn from them. But if they never make mistake, they'll never make decision. And then the things will never be solved. So the
right.
fact that you're allowing people to say, go with it, keep eye on it, of course,
Mhm.
it helps them build that mindset of leadership. You cannot do everything best from the first get-go.
Right.
Sometimes
And one
you
thing I
make
want
wrong
to
decisions.
say, sorry to interrupt you. You said something that I think is really important. You said if you're always worried about making a mistake, you'll never make a decision. And in business, that's one of the most important things is the ability to make a decision and move forward. And I see a lot of franchisees
Mm.
where they get stuck there and they cannot make a decision and they stop. And that's really like the worst thing that you can do in business is just be still. You have to move forward and you have to make decisions. So if you've been somebody like you're a business owner and you've been like maybe the smartest in your class, that got the highest grades, the valedictorian, never made a mistake, you buy a business and you're
Oof.
expecting that you're going to continue to be that way, which we know we want to expect success, but you have to be okay with failure and you have to be okay to move forward and keep going and keep making mistakes. So
Yeah.
I'm contradicting myself a little bit because I'm saying if you expect success, you will be successful, but you also have to be okay with failing, but failing in a way
Mm.
that you know it's okay and you continue to move forward.
Yeah, you never fail as long as you continue.
Yes,
You
exactly.
fail if you give up. That's it. If you give up on a failure, that's it. You
Or you
accept
don't act. You fail if you
defeat.
don't act. I mean, you see it all the time with franchise partners where in what we do, it's very reliant on people. And so
Of
you
course.
need to have a general manager, you need to have salespeople. And anyone listening to this podcast knows it's been difficult finding good people.
Of
And
course.
so, and there's been, anyhow,
Even more lately.
it's hard, right? And so sometimes if a partner maybe has had a couple hires that haven't gone well and they've had to let them go or they left, they get
Mhm.
stuck. So like, well, I don't want to make that mistake again. I'm just not going to hire anybody. And that's
Mm.
terrible, right? Like not having a team, not having somebody to help you with your business is really tough. So inaction is the worst thing that you can do as an owner.
That's right. Things are not gonna solve themselves. Let's remind you about that. You have to take care of it. And you gotta move on. What I found is greatest leaders I spoke with, they have consistently facing harder and bigger levels of challenges.
Mhm.
So you start with something small, says, oh my God, how do I solve this? Person left. How do I find a replacement? Oh my God, it's the end of the night, end of the business. And then you solve that like, oh my God, this is easy. And then you have a bigger problem, bigger fish to fry, bigger problem. It's not the same as one location, 10 location, 100 location, 200 locations, and ambitious to be 1,000 or how
Right,
many.
right.
You're facing bigger challenges. And then somehow when you face such a huge challenge, these small ones look like nothing. Is this something you see in pattern in your leadership development, in your history, and your
Oh,
that
absolutely.
the longer you are the leader, the somehow you are being challenged to extend your sphere of how big
Yes.
problems you can handle.
Yeah. And I actually find that some adult people come to me with problems thinking they're huge and really worried. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. I've been there before, but what happens is the people that are concerned about it feel so much better when you don't react with such a like, oh my gosh, that's a catastrophe. That's the worst thing in the world. When I just say, listen, yeah, that's pretty common in what you're dealing with. It's happened to us before. It's happened to me. Here's some ways that I've been able to solve it. Let's talk about ways that you're thinking about solving it. So as a leader, having bigger and bigger problems makes it easier to be a leader because you've faced most of them.
Yeah.
But also what I've learned is that everything's solvable and nothing is going to end in catastrophe.
Nothing will end the world.
Yeah. And even when we thought the world was ending, right? Like during COVID, there was times where all of our studios were closed. Every single one of them had to be closed. My franchisees had no way of getting revenue. We had that problem for 24 hours. And within the 24 hours, we immediately turned on, as you were talking about, Zoom and online yoga. And all of a sudden, revenue streams start back up again.
There we go.
We started getting the ability to move outside and we could practice outside. And so nothing is unsolvable.
And I'll tell you one thing. I learned one question. I don't know if I'm bored with that question, but everybody thinks I'm always optimist. And when the big problem comes, especially my leadership team comes to me and says, Andre, we have catastrophe happening. And the first question that I ask, that's fantastic. What's good about it? Without even asking what's the problem.
Right.
I was like, Andre, there's nothing, we didn't solve it. It's still a problem. Things is down. Like, we need solution right away. It's like, great. What's good about it? Unless I hear at least 3 things what's good about it, we're not going to move forward. And then they were like, Andre, you're a little bit weird. Like, nothing is good about it. Money is gone. System is down. Things are horrible. We don't know if we're going to have company tomorrow. Look, I understand. That's already stated. Let's pull out, think what's good about it. And then things comes out like, oh, yeah, we know we need to pay attention for these things so this doesn't happen in the future. Oh, we need to have redundancy systems in place. So, oh, we have way more responsibility towards what we're doing so things get protected. Like 20, 30 different ideas came up. I was like, okay, how you feel now about the problem? If that problem was not faced today, if we are 20 times bigger company, if we are 100 times bigger company as we are growing, imagine that problem comes then. Right. It will be 100 times bigger. So aren't you grateful that we learned this lesson now? It was like in inception of the business.
Right.
Like when you put it that way, yeah, it makes sense. Like, yeah, like we're not going to disappear. If we have to recreate everything from scratch, we will. And just ask. And now they know me like, oh my God, what's going on, Andreas? Like we got to come ready with the questions. And I have them still training new people. 1-3-1 rule, 1 problem, 3 ideas, 1 solution. Tell me why. And if there's nobody there to justify, go and fire. Like, go with it.
Right.
If your leader is not there and you have to act fast, take the charge. But just want to make sure you documented 3 ideas and why did you choose the one? At least 3. So it's not dilemma or not, you don't have then options. So interestingly enough, you are always in selection of people. You said that people are hard to find sometimes. Is there any test or either personal test that you're doing or some kind of official test that you can recognize the leaders and great people you want to join your organization? Fire, like go with it.
Right.
If your leader is not there and you have to act fast, take the charge. But just want to make sure you documented 3 ideas and why did you choose the one? At least 3. So it's not dilemma or not, you don't have then options. So interestingly enough, you are always in selection of people. You said that people are hard to find sometimes. Is there any test or either personal test that you're doing or some kind of official test that you can recognize the leaders and great people you want to join your organization?
That's a great question. If you're asking like what sort of questions you would ask in an interview or how.
I want to buy the franchise. I want to join the team. How do you know if I'm a right fit?
Yeah. I mean, I try to ask, like, for me, and this may not work for everybody, but I just like to talk to people and get to know them. not interview them. I think that makes other people nervous. And they're also kind of always thinking about what's the right answer. I actually want to just get into a conversation about like them, and maybe wherever the conversation takes us, I'm going to be able to find little tidbits
Mhm.
of information that will tell me if they are somebody that would fit our system. But really, I'm looking for somebody that has the right mindset. And that it just comes down to that. So it's not really about, are you somebody that can own a yoga franchise? You can be anybody. If you have the right mindset, you can own a yoga franchise. And what I'm looking for is just the ability to be able to make decisions like we were talking about before. So I'll try to find a way to get our conversation into that. Like, hey, so where'd you go to college? Why'd you decide on that major? What sort of other options did you have? How hard was it to make that decision? Those types of things. And then also their ability to fail and like how they respond when they have failed, quote unquote, because as we said, they're not really failing. So I always try to find out, what's your background? Have you ever, not because I want to, I'm not afraid of that at all. I just want to know, how did you respond if you didn't succeed? What if you weren't picked for the job, or you got let go because of A, B, and C? What did you do next? How do you handle it if you don't win? Because what I've seen in what we're doing in business is that it isn't always going to be sunshine and rainbows. Even the most successful franchisees that we have definitely have come across big challenges. And I try to tell this to the team, to people joining the system now, that it won't be that way. Like, you should expect that you're going to come across something that's going to be really difficult for you. And it's not about that. It's about, how do you respond to that? What are you going to do when that happens? And inevitably it's going to happen. And so we'll get into that conversation. And I usually tell them a story of two different franchisees have the same problem. One responded with like just horror and just could not believe this problem had happened, wanted to blame everybody around them, and just was stuck on the problem. The other one responded with, that's really unfortunate. How do I fix it? What am I going to do next? What can we do together to get past it? And what do you think, Lindsay, is if I don't get it, like, what's my biggest risk right now? And I told him, your biggest risk is that you get stuck on this and you don't move forward with anything. So fast forward a year, the franchisee that was like, okay, this is a problem, but how do I move forward, is one of our top 5 franchisees in the system and is in their next location. The one that got stuck on it is really struggling. And so one's not smarter than the other. It really came down to the mindset and how they handle adversity. So
same outcome, same economy, same problem, same
even
situation.
same market. Like, they're in
same market, same everything.
Yeah. But so what I'm trying to find is little glimpses of that, how they would respond to adversity in the future. And sometimes I'm successful in figuring it out. Sometimes I'm not, but that's what I've been working on. And then,
Great.
I mean, if you're thinking about, like, if you're somebody listening and you're thinking about how do you, like, finding good people to hire, that's different than finding good franchisees to franchise with, but it's the same idea.
Yeah.
What's the job? What are the biggest challenges they're going to have in the job? And try to find like something that can relate to those challenges. A lot of times, like, when, especially if you're in the gym business, you're looking for like younger, maybe not younger, but people that are newer in their career, and they're maybe not going to have a ton of experience, but they've had experiences growing up. But I always tend to look for athletes, because I know that athletes tend to fail a lot, right? You don't win all the games that you go in. You have to work through adversity. You have to do hard things. You go to practice, you get told by a coach, you're doing this, you have to follow instructions, you have to work with the team. So I try to find people like that have that experience, because I know that it's transferable to business.
Yes. And listen, they're happy to have you. They're blessed to have you. Having somebody like you who's going to look from the positive side, say, listen, there's 20 things you might be doing wrong, but what you did there, it's great. Keep up. And it's in sport, it's in the business. Now, my challenge is, or question, I would say, they have you as empowerment leader. How do you empower yourself? Where do you get your source, your juices?
Well, I feel like it kind of was ingrained in me from as a kid. I told you that story.
You were vaccinated with that at birth.
It just happened. I think I'm lucky that I had a good family growing up and they helped me with that. But there's always times when you're going to doubt yourself, and like getting older has been really hard for me, because as an athlete, like I remember back when I could run a sub 6 minute mile, And now I can't even keep up with my daughters running an 8-minute mile. And so you start to have some negative self-talk for sure.
Mm,
Or like going into a boardroom and giving a presentation, that things like that, I get nervous. But I just try to imagine myself succeeding. And I've
mm,
succeeded before. So I just remember back to times when I've been successful. I'm never probably going to run a 6-minute mile again, but like at least I can
mm.
feel like I'm doing it when I'm running, or that's
And you're saying you're running. Tell me about, is there any daily habits that you're doing that keeps you in your mental shape or on your emotional checklist? I'm
yeah.
looking always because people, a lot of times, great people, great leaders have some subconscious or ritual or habits. They're embedded in them. They might not be even conscious about them.
Right. So, as again, back to the kid thing, I've always had to do exercise first thing in the morning.
Mm,
And as a young child, my parents decided that I had ADHD. I don't know if I did or not because I never went to doctor, no medication, but they just said to me, like, you're going to exercise at like age 8. You're going to go do some exercise before school. So you pay attention. So that
mm,
habit has been with me since then. And
yes.
I like, so now as like this morning, I got up and I did a workout. And on the days, if there's something happens and I'm not able to do that, I do see a pretty big difference in my ability to handle stress. And so I know for me, it's more mental than it is physical. I think
Hmm.
if there was something wrong and I couldn't exercise, I'd probably meditate just to clear my
Mm.
mind. But up and like I've been lucky enough to be able to continue to exercise. And so that like for me, every morning I exercise. And then I always try to plan my day and just so that I know what's happening. I think anybody in business does that. But the one thing that I do that's probably different than a lot of other people is at the end of the day, I plan to do the things I'm looking forward to. So there's certain
Mm.
parts of my business that I really enjoy. And so I save that for the end.
Mm.
It just works for me. It helps me get through some of the stuff that's not so fun. And I put all the good stuff at the end of the day. So that's
So
just,
when you, at the end of the day, you said you're planning to do the things that you're looking for, at some empowering, energizing, motivating
mm,
things. It's almost like reward for yourself. You guys, this is very simple, as she said, but it's also very complicated because not many people exercise every day. And we say every day because life goes on. You get kids, you get new things to do, and schedule goes away, and it's very hard to get back to that schedule.
yeah,
But what happens with exercise, and we all know that in this industry, it's chemistry change, energy change. How much more capable we are of solving the problems when you feel great, feel empowered, your mind's at a peak level. You just say, move, I'll handle this. Versus like, oh shit, sorry, my French. Right? Like how I'm gonna do it, and you start withdrawing. It's all about energy. I spent last 10 years of my life craving for the everything that brings more energy. And I know myself, the moment I stopped, if I skip, I go on vacation, I look for the gym. I go in hotel, I look for the workouts. I go on a cruise, my wife sleeps, I go for a workout, and I come back, she wakes up. Why? Because I want to have my peak energy even at vacation, and I work out there. If there's a personal trainer there, I'll get one. Just because I want to do it all. I don't want to slow down. And, you know, we have all wishes and things we want to do, but without energy, you don't get it. And the energy is physical, it's emotional, it's chemistry, but it's also mindset. Like reward yourself. Look at how simple it is. Do the things you are looking forward to, right? So what are the some things that you kind of treat yourself, if that's
yeah.
not too personal?
No, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, because I was talking about work, like there's certain parts of my day that I don't like, right? Difficult
We
things.
all have those.
And we all have those. So I try to like, I'll do my workout, put those things that I don't like, and then end the day with the good stuff. And for me, the good stuff is
Mm.
talking to franchisees that want to grow and connecting with franchisees that are like successful. So I'll usually put on my calendar to connect with my
Ooh.
top performers or somebody that's done something really, really great at the end of the day, because that gives me energy, usually like, around
Oof.
4 o'clock at the end of the day, you're starting to lose energy. And so adding things that give energy, I think, I don't know, for me, it just makes it a lot easier to finish
Wow.
off the day. And then to add to that, on Fridays, usually, I know we were talking about having to do my planning and all my budgeting this Friday, but normally on Fridays, I try to put like the fun and energizing
Mm.
projects on those days, and things where I can collaborate. Because again, I'm
Mm.
looking forward to that. Just gives me more energy.
Wow.
Um,
So I
yeah,
see this as, let's say we all have tasks. And if you have
yeah,
calendar with a bunch of meeting or tasks scheduled, I'm imagining this like you color code them. You have those you don't like, red ones. You have those that has to be done. They're not draining, they're not contributing, yellow ones, and you have green ones that are empowering.
yes,
So you work out, you get yourself in a state that you can handle things, and you go handle the biggest, hardest red ones first.
yeah,
So it's, okay, I feel completed. Boom. Now I can handle everything else. A lot of people do opposite. Let me tell you, they push those big important projects last.
yeah.
There's
I know.
even
I
book
see
called
that.
Eat the Frog
Yeah,
first. Like whatever is the biggest, hardest
yeah.
thing, just get done with it and move on.
Yeah, and I used to do that. I used to be like, okay, I'm just going to do all my good stuff first, but then I would start to run out of energy and then I
Yeah.
would put it off. And then I was putting off things too much. And then I really thought about it more and I thought, I have the most energy. I feel the best earlier. So let's do
Mm.
those things first. I think I've read lots of books and listened to CEOs and leaders that typically do that. But
Yes.
yeah, it makes the day. That's why I'm talking to you closer to the end of the day because this is a fun thing for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, same here. Right. This is what I love doing it. It doesn't feel like work at all. And getting to know you, it's really aligning with what I believe and I was doing my whole life. It's a ritual that I stick to every morning. I wake up 5:30, this morning 4:30. First thing what I do is I drink water or some kind of hydration. I hit a
Right.
workout to sweat and I test my limits there. Come back home, I took a cold shower. There are days where I skip. And I got to tell you, I'm 60% myself. I come in the shower like, no, I'll just skip it. I feel good. And the day plunge. If I
Yeah.
skip the workout, they plunge. Every one of my habits have to be in place in order for me to perform at my peak. Because I own this to myself. I own this to my team. I own this to my client, my partners. And if I'm drained by 5 o'clock and I go back to my wife as a couch potato, what did I do? To my
Right.
loved ones, I own myself to be at the best. So I cannot skip, even if I want to. There's no negotiating. You open the shower, it says there's no negotiating. We are coming in. Boom. And then, of course, after that is meditation. Pump yourself psychologically, set your day for success. Think about 3 things you want to do, what you're grateful for. You'll load yourself with the dopamines. And it's like, okay, this is a beautiful day. I don't care about darkness outside. There's a light in this room, and I'm good with it.
Yep.
And just works, guys. Now, you mentioned books and learning from other leaders. That was one of my questions that you preempted it. Tell me about it. Where did you get inspiration? Who are the people who inspired you or taught you or give you some reinforcement of who you are today?
Yeah. Well, again, going back to the way I grew up, I think that, of course, comes from my parents and my mom and dad. And then I am lucky enough to work in the fitness industry. So I'm surrounded by really great people and great leaders. But like from a book perspective, there's 2 books that I like. One, I just reread it and I'll probably read it once a year forever. And people might laugh and think it's silly, but I love the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I don't know if you've read it before, but
Can't Hurt Me by David? I did not.
great story. He's a Navy SEAL who has just pushed himself to the limit, not only like as a Navy SEAL, but doing a lot of endurance events. And it really just shows the power of the mind. And the book talks about just
Mm.
situations where most people, almost everybody I know would quit, and he just keeps going. And super inspirational. And so
Love it.
I've read the book twice. I just listened to it again and he inspired me to do the LA Marathon a couple of years ago without training, because he just talked about how your mind can do anything. And he was right. I mean, I did the marathon. It wasn't my best time, but I did it. And I kept thinking I can do. So basically his mantra is once you think you're done, you're only 10% started. And
Yeah,
all the
goosebumps.
ways your brain can just push you to do more. And I was lucky enough with Exponential. He was our keynote speaker last year at our convention. So we got to meet him. But he's been really cool to watch. Definitely extreme, but just for me, that works. And then the Cybernetics book that you talked about was so great. I
I
just
know you would like
recently
it.
finished it. I love it. And that'll probably be a book that I read pretty often. I'm going to try to get my kids to read it. It's a little on the
That book
higher
changed a
end.
lot of lives. It's
Yeah.
very old knowledge, rewritten now to adopt to the new thing, but it's the wisdom.
Yeah, it was really like a very important book for me, and I just read it. But what was cool about it is it just reinforced a lot of things I think I was just lucky enough to have happen in my life. And then I
Mm,
realized, wow, this is why I am who I am. I've always
mm,
kind of believed that I could do things that, and I did it. And then the other thing the book talks about is envisioning yourself doing something. And as a
and
kid,
repeating it.
I used to be a skier, and I would always want to try to do these difficult ski runs. And a lot of times I wouldn't be allowed to do it, or my parents would be like, no, you can't go. Or my teachers like, no, you can't do that. But I always just imagined, lay in bed, imagining I'm going to do Seventh Heaven, or I'm going to do this triple black diamond. And eventually, like when I got to do it, I could do it. And I think it's because my mind had done it so many times in my head
Yeah.
that I eventually could do it. So just been lucky, like with good parenting, leadership. And the other thing that recently I've had the luck, I guess, to be introduced to is a gentleman named Seth Hickerson, who owns a company called
Look at this, but live like
Live Lucky. There you go. You can create your own luck, and people say that, right? But Seth Hickerson is the owner of My Steady Mind, which is a company
mm,
that basically does like personal training for the mind for anybody. For me at Expo, we did it as executives, but he works with athletes, he works with police, works with military, and he just recently
mm,
put me and some of the people I work
mm.
with here through a course, and that was amazing.
And
Um,
have you ever attended any of the seminar conferences by Tony Robbins?
I
His
haven't.
Unleashed. Oh my God.
I feel like I
You
should.
will
Yeah.
freak out. You will explode. Because you already have bomb in you. And that one is unleashing the totally. It's called Unleash the Power Within. The seminar starts by walking on a fire. Like for end of the first day, 1 o'clock in the morning, started at 8 o'clock. We're all whole day, nobody's tired. You walk on a fire, burning coal, 1700 degrees, and you don't get burned. It's a mindset belief breaker. Tomorrow you walk in the morning and they ask, how was yesterday? And everybody's freaking out. He says, you haven't seen nothing yet. And in that moment, I felt doubt, like no way you can over deliver what you had yesterday. Because
Yeah.
if you just break one limiting belief, if I know for fact there's no way I can walk on this fire and not get burned, and then you do it, what else in your life have you thought I cannot do it? And after that, that was totally, I start breaking limiting beliefs. Next time opportunity, I swim with the sharks, I die first. Boom, they're all around you. They don't bite people as people that think they are. Right? Doing crazy jumps from places that I was afraid from the height. I start doing it because now limiting beliefs is nothing else but just imaginary limitation. And the book that you read, Cybernetics, is a proof of that. Our reality has nothing to do with surrounding. It's all about our mindset, how we perceive reality to be. It's a really great book for reading, and I highly recommend. I'm glad that you liked it as well.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you for that.
Wow. Listen, we're wrapping up. And for those people who are looking like, oh my God, I love listening, Lindsay, how can they find more about YogaSix, yourself, and pretty much your world?
So probably YogaSix, we have our Instagram, which is a lot of fun content on there. So it's just YogaSix, just type it on Instagram. And then me, if you're interested, although I don't know how interesting I am on Instagram, it's just my name at Lindsay Junk. And then like professionally, there's a lot on my LinkedIn page, which is just me again, Lindsay Junk. So
If you guys are looking to go and exercise in YogaSix, go get it. Experience how it feels. If you're looking to get yourself career there, go take a look. Or maybe you already like this leadership, this mindset, this syncs with you and says, oh my God, I would love to develop business. This might be opportunity for you. For everybody, on behalf of the community, thank you, Lindsay, for incredible words of wisdom today, for sharing with us, and for being you and empowering this community with the leadership and mindset skills that you are born with, grew up with, and consistently working to develop it. It was with pure joy and pleasure. Thank you for being on the podcast today.
thank you for having me. It was so much fun. I really liked it. Thank you.
And you guys know what to do. Click, share, comments, and send this to the people you care the most. Without this community, this episode doesn't reach many people. We want everybody to really empower their businesses. Mindset is critical. Thank you, Lindsay. See you next time.
Thank you.
If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.